A very good morning to you all. Honorable Vice President, Excellencies, Ambassadors, members from the Diplomatic Corps, participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great honor and the privilege to introduce one of the most prominent keynote speakers of this year's forum, Dr. and Vice President Chen Jianren. Actually, he's the one who doesn't need any introduction. He's the one people in Taiwan, people knows him, people respect him for his service and the contribution to the country and to the people of Taiwan. Actually, in foreign soil, foreign countries, people also recognize his contributions. But most importantly, I think the Almighty God up there recognizes him. I will explain to you later. Dr. Chen received his doctoral degree from Johns Hopkins University in 1982. And then he was the Dean of the College of Public Health of National Taiwan University from 1999 to 2002. In 2002 onward, he was the Minister of Health from 2003 to 2005. In the early 2003, when the SARS pandemic happens, Taiwan was one of the hardest hit countries in the world. And Dr. Chen, during the time, courageously led the efforts to contain the SARS. And then he earned his reputation all over. And early this year, he also, as Vice President, led the delegation to contain the COVID-19. And Dr. Chen is such devout Catholic. And he has been invested as a knight. This I need my note because this is rather difficult. Knight of Equestrian Order of the Holy Sepulchre of Jerusalem, and the Knight of Pontifical Equestrian Order of the Saint Gregory the Great. During his time as Vice President, he visited the Vatican 3 times, enhancing the efforts and exchange views with high-ranking clergy on the cooperation in regard to how to contain the pandemic and how to provide services to the people all over. And Dr. Chen, after stepping down, he still effort himself to how to contain, how to help the people to contain this COVID-19. So for that, he earned a reputation again. We are very, very happy and honored today to invite Dr. Chen and Vice President to be here to deliver his keynote speech. Please join me to welcome Dr. and Vice President Chen. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome former Vice President Chen Jianren to come to the stage to have a keynote speech, and also thanks Mr. Tian, Deputy Minister Tian, for his wonderful introduction.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister Tian. It is really my pleasure and honor to give a presentation on COVID-19 pandemic control and economic revitalization. I will focus on the case in Taiwan. Excuse me. As of September the 8th, COVID-19 already affected more than 23 million confirmed cases and resulted in more than 893,000 deaths. However, in Taiwan, you can see on this slide that there are in total of 494 confirmed cases, and with only 55 locally infected cases and 7 deaths, with a case fatality rate only 1.4%. And most importantly, in Taiwan, we have only 2.2% of confirmed cases without identifiable infection source. And as you can see on this slide, that COVID-19 incidence and mortality rate per 100,000 population in the world and Taiwan, and the incidence rate in the world is 357, and mortality rate is 12, and in Taiwan, it's only 2.1, and the mortality rate is 0.03 per 100,000 population. So in Taiwan, there's if we compare there's confirmed cases per 100,000 people, that's on August 24th, and we found that Taiwan ranked as there's 206 among there's 213 countries or areas. And Bloomberg Economics has assessed there's the COVID-19 control in 75 emerging and frontier economies in the world. And as you can see on this map, the lighter the color, the better the control of COVID-19. And the assessment was based on three major topics. One is this confirmed deaths from COVID-19 and the level of activity compared with pre-virus normal and the policy space available to counter the damage. And Taiwan was ranked as the number one, Botswana the second, followed by South Korea and Thailand. And Latin American countries are performing the worst and struggling to control outbreak and restart their economies. And according to this Newsweek Japan, published in July 21st, it assessed this, the response to COVID-19 in 49 countries, and based on epidemic damage, that including cumulative confirmed case per 10,000 population, and confirmed case increasing rate from June 16th to June 30th, as well as this case fatality rate. And the second assessment criteria is this economic damage, and that's the GDP lost compared with the pre-pandemic period. And the full score is 200, and I'm sorry for this very small tables, and Taiwan was ranked as the number one with the score of 180. So based on these two criteria, Taiwan was ranked as the number one and with the score of 180, followed by Malaysia, Hong Kong, Thailand, China, South Korea, and other countries. And from my own point of view, I think that there are some failures in the pandemic containment policy in the world. This including the first one is the inadequate contact tracing and checking resulted in outbreak and the city lockdown in Wuhan last December. And this is really unfortunately, they did not control this outbreak locally very successfully. And the second is the postponed announcement of public health emergency of international concern, PHEIC, from the World Health Organization in January. And this kind of postponed announcement delayed the border control of passengers from epidemic areas in February among all the countries in the world. And the fourth failure is the insufficient track and trace system to identify close contact. And the fifth one is the city lockdown without promoting personal hygiene, social distancing, and avoidance of large-scale gathering. And the sixth failure is this, they carry out a mass screening without a 14 days isolation and home quarantine. So this positive people still have the chance to transmit the virus locally. And the seventh one is this shortage and pandemic buying of the PPEs. And Taiwan has success to contain the COVID-19. We call this the Taiwan model. And there are four major elements in this successful containment of COVID-19 in Taiwan. That's including the prudent action, rapid response, early deployment, and transparency. Dating back to January 22nd, our President Tsai Ing-wen held this emergency meeting of our National Security Council, and he determined to contain this COVID-19 through that interministerial effort, and also he also urge us to control the epidemic and also to vitalize our economy, which may be damaged by the COVID-19. And on this December 31st last year, our CDC officer already found that there's at least 7 atypical pneumonia cases reported in Wuhan. And atypical pneumonia is equivalent to SARS. If that's the case, then our officer in Taiwan CDC feel quite alert to it. So they immediately sent a reporting email to World Health Organization and China CDC. And we try to confirm the situation and also to urge them to have a better understanding or better control of this kind of clustering of atypical pneumonia. However, we did not get any response from World Health Organization, and World Health Organization announced PHEIC until the end of January this year. So that's a 1 month delayed. And in Taiwan, I think that we have a very prudent action to all this pandemic situation in the whole world. And the second is the rapid response to pandemic. We did not carry out any city lockdown. We did not have a mass screening, but we use a lot of smart technology. We have a very prudent surveillance of pandemic status using the ICT and AI technology and quick announcement of travel warning using the cellular broadcast. And the stringent border control using e-quarantine system and in-depth tracing of close contact of confirmed cases using ICT and big data analysis. We enforce the home isolation and quarantine for close contacts and inbound passenger using digital fencing tracking and line board system. And we also carry out a precision rather than mass screening of suspects with symptoms and signs. And it is more effective and more efficient. And the seventh is the mobilization of healthcare system for isolation treatment. We prepared 20,000 isolation rooms and 14,000 ventilators. The eighth is the enhancement of hospital infection control using disinfection and delivery robots. So we don't have city lockdown, we don't have mass screening, but we use smart technology to do border control, contact tracing, and home isolation and quarantine, and also precision test. And they are the major efforts we carry out. And just now, we have some chat about the home quarantine and home isolation. It is really boring to stay at home or the quarantine place for 14 days. But I would like to thank all the Taiwanese people, especially for those who were quarantined or isolated at this quarantine space. We have around 10,000 home isolated persons and more than 225,000 home quarantined persons. And as you can see here, among these 230,000 people who were quarantined and isolated, and only 18 of the isolated people got a penalty because they did not stay in this quarantine place very well, and 817 got a penalty. In other words, more than 99.5% of the quarantined and isolated people, they are following the government's guideline and stayed in a restricted area. And I think this is very important. We limited the liberty of 230,000 people to let 23 million people in Taiwan to work normally, to go to school normally, to live normally. And another important element of COVID-19 containment in Taiwan is the early deployment. Our CECC, Central Epidemic Control Center, they had a daily press briefing to announce transparent information, health education, and risk communication, and to resist this disinformation attacks. And also, the government prepared this adequate supplies of PPE, personal protection equipment, and other medical materials through mass production and name-based e-rationing. And we also enforce the personal hygiene, social distancing, and avoidance of large-scale gathering using online education and self-broadcast. And we also consider that financial relief and economic status are very important during this pandemic period. So we use e-allocation and then try to do better financial relief and economic stimulus. And we carry out a series of research and development for this rapid diagnostic, antivirals, and vaccines. And we also engaged in international collaboration on PPE, pharmaceuticals, and technology. And with regard to this early deployment, I think there's a face mask production is a good example. And we have our so-called national mask team. We requisition of 73 factory and expand the 92 production line. And the average production of face mask in January is only 1.8 million, and it's up to 21 million in May. So we integrated all the raw materials, machines, production lines, and also ensure a stable power supply to increase our face mask team and the production. And in addition to that, we also consider it is very necessary to let everybody in Taiwan can buy face mask at a very low price. No matter they are rich or poor, they have the equity to access this face mask. So we started our name-based distribution system. We use our national health insurance card here, and then to purchase this face mask. And in this way, this, everybody in Taiwan can get this face mask easily, and they can wear the mask as is necessary. And when we have adequate production of face mask, we consider that no nation can fight against COVID-19 alone, and we have to help each other. So we donate more than 60 million face masks to Europe, to the USA, our diplomatic allies, as well as our like-minded countries. I think that the success of Taiwan's containment of COVID-19 based on three very important values. One is the democracy and transparency and solidarity. From the very beginning of the pandemic, the government has ensured that the public has the open access to COVID-19 information, and CECC had held daily press and briefing since January. And this kind of daily briefing generates accurate news across a broad spectrum of media outlets, and CCC quickly established its authority and earned the trust of the public. And public trust is very important. It has a stabilizing influence on society, encouraging citizens to follow government guidelines and rules, and also making the public less vulnerable to disinformation campaign. So it generates a virtuous cycle. The more the public trust, the more the people are willing to cooperate, and once people are willing to cooperate, the control is better. So it's become a very good virtuous cycle. So transparency and public trust basically are the natural product of our vibrant democracy. And in Taiwan, 23 million people, they are really complied to this government guideline very good. So I think that everybody, not to protect themselves, is also willing to protect others. I think this kind of spirit of solidarity is the key for the successful containment of COVID-19 in Taiwan. However, there's a lot of challenges of COVID-19 in near future. The first wave of COVID-19 pandemic persists globally, and many countries have low infection rate and low herd immunity, such as in Taiwan. And we all know that the global economic recession is very serious. And if we want to reopen our border, then we may increase the number of inbound passengers or imported cases and increase the risk of local outbreak recurrence. And another challenge is the seasonal flu in coming winter. The seasonal flu in coming winter may increase the difficulties in the differentiating diagnosis and the clinical management of COVID and influenza. So we also encourage our people to engage in the immunization of seasonal influenza in order to make a better diagnosis and better management of COVID-19 in coming winter. We all know that COVID-19 not resulted in a lot of deaths or sick people. It also have a significant impact on the economy of the whole world. And this is the impact of COVID-19 on world stock market up to July of this year. And you can see this in USA S&P, Japan Nikkei, and USA Dow Jones, and UK FTSE, they have decreased in this their stock market. In Taiwan, as you can see, our TAIEX has around 5.6% increased. And the best one is for Taiwan Biotech Index, around 14% increase. And it's also good this for computer and peripheral products as well as electronic components. And COVID-19 definitely have a very significant impact on industry. And it shifted our world to a new digital world. COVID-19 accelerated digital transformation. And for example, the online consumption increased 1.8-fold in these 6 months. And there's a lot of industry was shocked by COVID-19, this including the transportation and tourism and physical entertainment, physical retail, as well as food and beverage. However, there are some industry that get a bonus for during this period of time. They are healthcare and epidemic prevention and otaku economy. This our National Development Council has presented the post-COVID-19 strategy of economic development in Taiwan. They highlights there's a 7 important areas Taiwan can engage in post-COVID-19. The first one is the big health, including the e-health, precision medicine, epidemic prevention technology, health promotion service, and smart healthcare and smart hospital, as well as healthcare regulatory sandbags. And the second one is this zero-touch economy, followed by flexible labor market, innovation entrepreneurship center, data-driven service, and supply chain resilience, as well as the digital capital market. And with regard to this new biomedical technology to improve future preparedness for pandemic diseases, we can stratify this technology into 4 groups. One is this diagnosis and therapy, include this causal agent identification, health checkup APP, as well as test kits, rapid diagnostic, antivirals, vaccines, and so forth. And disinfection technology is also very important. This including this antiviral masks and air filters and sputum disposal and so forth. With regard to this healthcare technology, now we need a lot of healthcare robots and clinical algorithm. We have to improve our PPE production and also using this 3D printing devices to create a lot of medical devices we need for this pandemic control. And also, telemedicine will become more and more popular. We need to have a distant monitoring, distant consultation, wearable sensors, physiologic monitors, digital stethoscope, and health chatbot, and so forth. In addition to medical technology, there's another kind of new technology, including this ICT and AI. They are also important to improve the pandemic preparedness. And we would like to say this is so-called the zero-contact economy with this zero-distance innovation. For example, for the environmental health, the drone or robot disinfection may be important, and isolation units, and visualize epidemic prediction. They are all important, and robots can be used for patrol and disinfection, and so forth. And the smart city technology are important for this surveillance system, for the locating system, online citizen services, as well as unmanned store or the fleet management, and so forth. And smart industry are also important in the future, and the real-time supply chain monitoring, augmented reality, digital factory, online B2B marketplace, and so forth. And on this customer side, I think this customer experience increased or create a lot of opportunities for otaku economy, for e-commerce, video streaming, working from anywhere, online learning, food grocery delivery, and indoor sports or games, and robots and customer use, and so forth. And as you can see, in the future, maybe we should work from anywhere, not only from home, from anywhere we can work. And then there's an online meeting, and there's an online B2B marketplace, and even there's an online B2B exhibition, and there's a one-to-one, that's an exchange of ideas. And also, our new working environment may need the body temperature monitoring, and also the disinfection robot. And we are going to have a good location tracking system. And with regard to the education, I think that in the future, the online learning and distant education will become more and more popular, and the online exhibition and online museum will become more and more popular too. And at home, I think there's an otaku economy, that's online shopping, and there's food delivery, e-commerce, online games, or live stream and streamers, and the indoor exercise, or online video streaming services. They have become more and more important, and so there's a kind of a change of economy situation. So in the future, I think that if we can apply ICT technology, including software and hardware and artificial intelligence in our economy, then we can make our new economy more resilient. And this can be applied to R&D production and manufacturing part, and also, not only for the manufacturing, can also involved in the distribution, marketing, and retail, and also for this consumer services and experiences, so forth. So automation, it will become more and more important, and the smart surveillance of this production line will become a new normal. And automatic warehousing, intelligent production schedules, they are all important for the production and manufacturing. With regard to the distribution or retail or marketing, pedestrian tracking, robot scan, natural language processing, and semantic analysis will become a very essential part for this marketing in the new economy. And for consumer services, I think that's recommendation engine, message push, after-sales services recommendation, e-payment, virtual assistant are all important. And in order to promote this zero-touch economy and zero-disk innovation, I think the 3C are very important for this kind of development. For the B2B industry, automation, real-time analysis, online, and innovation, digitization, they are all very important. For the B2C, I just mentioned about this e-commerce, streaming, and others. But there are three important elements to share with you, and this including, the first one is collaboration. We can work from anywhere, and different industry can merge online or offline, and to work together and to have a better collaboration. And if we are going to rely on ICT and AI, I think this cybersecurity is very important, and especially when we are considering about the resilience of supply chain, and reliable AI is essential. And creativity is another important part for this zero-touch economy and zero-distance innovation. I think this everybody knows virus respect no border. And any pandemic of emerging infections is detrimental to global health, to economic development, to social stability, national security, and regional peace. And no country can fight the pandemic alone. So help each other is the key for the success of the pandemic containment, and also for the economic revitalization. So with that, I would like to conclude my talk and to entertain some questions. I think that every cloud has a silver lining, and definitely we have to help each other and to lead to this international solidarity. And Taiwan can help, and Taiwan is helping all the countries in the world. And we would like to work together with all the nations in the world in order to have a better containment of the COVID-19 and have a new economy in the future. With that, I would like to thank you very much for attention. Thank you very much.